All right, we should be live now. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
Hopefully, you can have a great time with this episode. We're going to be talking about owning a yoga studio.
Perfect.
How we can make this a profitable venture for you. It's something that I know quite a bit of information about, having worked for multiple yoga studios, many at the same time, and have been in network with dozens of yoga instructors. Now, probably spoken to well over 50 yoga instructors, some who've owned studios and all who have worked at a studio. So I can give you some fair insight into the community, because I've been a strong part of it for quite a bit of time now. And hopefully we can have some solid information. So let's start with some of the basic fundamental information. So if you want to own a yoga studio, it's important to have a clear understanding of what profitability is like as a business. So you should know the expenses each month. You should know how much you can make from each class and where you can improve. Having an understanding of your income and expenses can help you manage expenses and help you make more money and keep an eye on the money that's left over in your business. Owning a business in yoga can be a little tricky sometimes because overhead's not that high. So it looks like the business itself isn't bleeding. But a lot of times when it comes to classes, classes don't usually require a lot of money. So it's very easy for you to look at your time and look at the ROI, the return on investment, and see that you're not necessarily making as much as you might need to. So you're going to have to fluctuate between raising prices, fluctuate between trying to get the right instructors in, maybe having some sort of team together. These are things we can discuss in further videos. So please like, comment, and subscribe so you can get more information on these topics. All right, let's go ahead and continue. Okay, and I'm going to hit the sound effect.
Yes.
So yoga studio owners are most successful usually when they look at the numbers, they analyze the data and focus on the areas they can provide the most profit potential. For example, a yoga studio that has a large number of empty classes may not make a lot of money. A studio owner may not be able to fill those slots for the particular class, but classes that are full additionally might make a bit more. But if overhead's bleeding them, you're not going to see the results. So you want to keep an eye on overhead. Now, in addition to analyzing the numbers, owners should know how to engage with the local community. This is a big step. Now, the successful studios I've seen, they usually have an imprint in the community. This is a really big step. So, if you are going to get involved in owning the studio, try to see what you can do to do things like particular nights where you could have things in the park. We have something where we call market night in the local area where you can have all the businesses come together, kind of market together in one spot and just kind of have tents and canopies. This is a great way for people to network and really have a sense of who you are as part of a community staple. Now, you should try to offer at least a few classes a day. In addition, you should have adequate space. The yoga studio should be big enough to accommodate all classes and instructors. Now, this can be tricky as well because how much space is enough? Well, I've seen some yoga classes where it's pretty much mat on top of mat because they're so scrunched in. This is a successful yoga studio per se. That said, you want to keep in mind that too much space can be a problem. Too little space can be a problem. The bigger the space, the more you're going to have to worry about an overhead and rent. Too little the space, the less likely that you can expand and grow and have enough space for your students and clients. So try to make sure you find a happy medium with that. Let's go ahead and continue. As a business owner, and this is what you are when you are a yoga studio owner, you can increase your number of yoga classes, and that can also add to your revenue. So, if for example you have classes in a time frame and other classes in excuse me, you have other time frames that are lacking classes, you can always add classes to those open slots, and that can be beneficial for you. Okay. Now, in addition to yoga classes, yoga studio owners can rent the space. Now, these events can help increase the brand awareness in the community. Another way to boost your profits is to sell products. This will not only add income to your studio, but engage in your yoga community and reinforce your brand. So, at this point, we're talking about being a stable in the community by developing a brand, selling different products. When it comes to selling products, I always look for digital products as the way to go when it comes to yoga because it's kind of hard to make a product per se in the first place. I think digital products in the terms of yoga classes and whatnot can be very helpful though. Okay. Now, as with any business, yoga studios can be expensive. The initial yoga studio can cost up to 15,000, but be much more depending on the area, the type of equipment, and aesthetics. So it's important to find a location that has plenty of space and is quiet. Also, consider how much rent will cost. So the legal structure is going to be something where owning a yoga studio is an important one. An LLC gives owners limited liability, which means they aren't particularly liable for any debts or liabilities of the business. This is especially important for yoga studios owners who may become personally liable for student injuries or misconduct by their instructors. So choosing an LLC can help limit the amount of personal assets that can be lost in a lawsuit. You want to keep in mind that as a yoga studio, you are a business and you want to operate based off the business incentives and ways to protect yourself. And an LLC is definitely the way I have gone. And it's the way I would highly recommend for all others, at least initially. Okay. Before opening the doors of a yoga studio, it's important to obtain a certification of occupancy from the building and department. This document ensures that your building meets all the zoning laws. If you're renting, then the owner of the building will have this. Liability insurance as well is going to be important to have on your premises for yourself or your employees' products. Choosing a location for your logos, your excuse me, your yoga studio, it's
Yes.
very important. The right location will influence productivity, customer satisfaction, and brand image. You'll need to consider your budget when choosing a space. And the location needs to be spacious, ideal, and hopefully in a quiet area. Another thing to consider is the competition. As the yoga market continues to grow, and it's going to continue to grow, there will be more competition. A business that specializes in one area reaches out to certain demographics and can stand out from the crowd. Now, this will ensure that customers will have a better experience than the competitor. So, why in the yoga world we really try to not compete in a negative way? We are in competition always, whether we would like to admit it or not. And ideally, what we do in this competition is try to bring our different flavors of our brand so that it can be friendly in competition. Okay. One thing that I would recommend is just really excelling at your core competencies, trying to figure out what you do well, what you do that no one else does, and just leaning into that. If there's someone else that's doing something well, great. That's actually probably healthy for the audience. And you can compete in a different way. Now, that's a what I call a healthy brand of competition where you're not focused on trying to outdo per se someone else from an aspect of what they're doing. You're just trying to bring your best, and they're bringing their best. That level of competition comes from let's see how much we can continue to grow competition versus who's going to get the students. Because in a perfect world, the students would go to both places and get the maximum amount of benefit. So I hope that has been helpful. We are going to have more on this series. It's going to be a series on owning a yoga studio. We just wanted to kind of wet our feet here. Thank you for being here, listening to the video. Please like,
Yes.
subscribe, leave a comment,
Perfect.
and hopefully we will be back really soon. I expect another live tomorrow. So please stick by, and we will see you tomorrow.